Hey, welcome back, ghouls and goblins. I hope you're having a magical day, and thank you for taking the time to support the channel. March of the Machines early access event is tomorrow, the 13th, starting locally for me at 11 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. Of course, you can do that individual conversion if you don't want to. We will be live in a waiting room, tailgating party, if you will. Counting down until the start of the event live on Twitch, at which point we will be there all day playing new decks, in which I have prepared 20 of. Oh my lord. Get your holy Toledos ready, chat, because we have a ton of new content to showcase for you tomorrow and in the following days, as the set itself is not playable for the masses in Arena until the 18th, I believe, which is a few days of waiting. And, so we want to be sure that we're putting in a ton of work tomorrow, filming all of these new decks to showcase day by day while we wait for the new set, so we can really determine which cards we want to be spending our hard-earned wild cards on to start the new set. Okay, so make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel to show your support. Today, we will be going through those 20 decks that I've created, just really quickly touching on them. Here's the main synergies that we're looking at. Obviously, it would be like a 5-hour video if we went through it all individually, but that's what we will be doing, in the coming weeks. Now, of course, if you're a content creator and you're looking for some decks to play within the early access event, hit me up, message me in Discord, and I'm happy to share my list with you as well. So with this being said, just thank you all so much for supporting the channel. I truly appreciate it. And let's take a look at some of these new decks and new cards. Here we are. And like I said, we've gone ahead and made 20 new decks. So just to get through them: Mono White Life Gain, Abzan Legends, Gruul Battles, Celestia Convoke, Mono Red Burn, Celestia Enchantments, 5-color Dragons, Azorious non-creature Convoke, Esper Angels, the Praetor Tree. Now this is a chase deck. Good luck to everyone who's willing to do this. The Orjov token Convoke Reanimator, Celestia +1/+1 counters. It's +1/+1/+1. You're gonna be putting a ton of counters on your creatures here. Mono green Slow Grow. It's not quite aggro. It's not quite mid range. Somewhere in the middle. Mardu Reanimator, Boros Battle, Azorious Creature Convoke, Dimir Shark Attack, Celestia Human Ramp, It's a Jund Fling, and Naya Backup Battle. So 20 new decks within Standard to showcase. And again, if you know a content creator who's looking for a new list to play tomorrow, by all means reach out and I will hook you up. Mono White Life Gain is pretty cool, focusing around the new card, Archangel Elspeth. It is the milky smooth life gain that I love so much. Obviously, gaining a bunch of life, getting Voice of the Blessed in the air with Vigilance, and then slamming double strike on it is going to be name of the game. So we like this a lot because A, we can put 2 counters on it and give it flying, which is really, really cool. B, we can just plus on Elspeth, make the creatures with life gain. That's going to be a creature entering the battlefield, triggering the Lunarch Veterans. And then that creature has life gain itself. And then finally, people love to remove Voice of the Blessed, the Font of Hope, and Elspeth can -6 to bring everything back, which is a lot of fun. Also, with the new Guardian, allowing us to bounce the Inspiring Overseer, more life gain, more draw, something like this. And finally, the Boonbringer Valkyrie as a new card in the build with backup, giving us flying, first strike, lifelink, +1/+1 on a creature as well, right? So that's really going to help us with that top end. And then Surge of Salvation, you and permanents you control gain hexproof until the end of turn, prevent all damage that would be done by black and red sources, which is really cool. So, there's and the Festivities, which is brutal to play against. Brotherhood's End, Burn Down the House, things like this, right? So very cool. Not too many new cards, but obviously it's hard to be upgrading old decks with all new cards, or it wouldn't really be an old deck anymore. But nonetheless, what we did receive, I think, is very, very nice. So moving on to our second deck, Abzan Legends. We've seen a lot here, and Thalia, the Gitrog monster, combo card here. 4 mana, Abzan colors, 4/4, flying. Oh, first strike at Death Touch. You may play an additional land on each of your turns. Creatures and non-basic lands your opponents control will enter the battlefield tapped, and whenever it attacks, you may sacrifice a land. If you do, draw a card. So, we're just really looking to tax our opponents with this new Thalia. We also have the new Drana and Linvala in the deck. 4 mana, 3/4, flying vigilance. Activated abilities of creatures your opponents control can't be activated, which is really nice. Very, very good. And then furthermore, it's going to actually have all of those activated abilities that your opponent's creatures have, which is really quite a lot of fun. And then, again, sadly, there's not a ton of new cards in this deck, but we'll be utilizing the new Elish Norn because we'll be creating a bunch of tokens. Of course, we can pay 3, sacrifice those creatures to flip Elish into the Argent Etchings. Of course, you're going to make a bunch of incubation tokens and then have them become creatures and give them double strike and then destroy everything, which is really cool, right? So very good card. Really looking forward to playing with it. And again, we've seen so much luck within, the Abzan Radibrig Legend deck. And, this is what we're focused on here with the King being able to instant speed sacrifice itself with Urborg in play to create additional copies of it, which is really cool. And then, of course, that's going to buff up all your creatures. And, we're going to have the death effect through Vran and Ellis Core here, as well as Drivnod and Mondrak doubling the tokens, which is really cool. So super excited about this deck. Again, it's probably, really friendly on the wild cards, which is nice. You'll see some of the other decks that we showcase in today's video that are built from the ground up. We're not kind of upgrading older decks. It's just kind of how we fall through them here. But, I think Abzan Legends is looking really good. Of course, we do have the opportunity to play with some more of these newer cards, which I am excited to try. And we've included those in the sideboard for everybody who does, end up with these lists and wants to maybe put their own touch on it, without going too far and putting too much effort in. But, it might take away from the overall strength of the decks. And we want to, make sure that everyone is winning as much as possible. Moving on to the Gruul battles. Now, this is, a great example of that where, some decks we see, upgraded and other decks we see, built from the ground up. So you can see this deck is almost all new, which is quite exciting. We have a new Phoenix here, which we'll be discarding and then bringing it back from the grave, which is nice. New spells that deal direct damage to, our opponent's creature, their planeswalkers, or battle spells. And now that's a new card type here. And, well, we're really focusing on it as we have 12 battles within our 2-drops. We have a way to draw when we attack battles. We have a way to deal damage to battles while attacking our opponents, right? So it's going to be really easy for us to be flipping these battles, which is typically a little bit harder to go out of your way to do in other colors, without taking away from our overall game plan here, right? So, a really exciting deck. You'll be able to destroy battles, play creatures back from the grave, and, we're looking at what could potentially be turn 4, turn 5 wins here. Really, really excited to play with this new Gruul Battles deck. Oops. There we go. Sorry. Moving on now to Celestia Convoke. Again, basically built from the ground up. Let's search by mana value. We have the new Dusk Legion Duelist. whenever one or more +1/+1 counters are put onto it, draw a card, which is great. So just slamming counters onto it, utilizing creatures with vigilance. We have the Placid Rod and Tail. Not only is this a cheap vigilance creature, but you can utilize it from your grave to supply those +1 counters to the rest of the team. And then the Knight can be easily convoked, allowing you to grab more creatures. And then the Ancient Imperiosaur can be convoked to come out as like a massive creature, as well as Elish Norn, because why not? I mean, she's got vigilance, right? So we get the etching again. We're going to get, double strike and a lot of attacking power, which is really quite cool. So a really nice build here. Really excited to play it. I'm hesitant for some of the Celestia decks because will they outpace the Toxic deck, right? That's going to be pretty tough, right? So, we really like putting these +1 counters on the do list. We'll be doing that with the Siege Veteran here. And then, we're going to have Trample. We can grab things out with the Knight, which should be fine, right? I think it's a good deck. As an aggro player, I'd be happy to play this build. But sometimes some of the decks we see are so oppressive that it boxes out others of a similar type. And, I'm worried about that there. Monterey Burn, we receive Urbrask, basically just sliding this in to the old mono red deck. It was degenerate then. It's not going to get better. Oh, my lord. For those of you who don't know, Urbrask is a 4/4 with first strike. Whenever you cast your next instant or sorcery spell, deal 1 damage and add 1 mana. Then we can pay 1, exile it, and transform it if we've cast 3 instant or sorceries, which is easy to do in this deck. And then, 3 damage to creature and planeswalker that they control, which is great. Then 3 treasures, and then, casting a bunch of things, which is sick. And then, our only other addition here is Ren's Resolve, which is just a reprint with a different name of Reckless Impulse. So that's nice for commander players, brawl players, as well as people who want to just run 6 Reckless Impulses, which is us. So really simple deck. If you happen to like the mono red deck, and I know a lot of you do, slide in Urbrask. That is a phenomenal card for an already overpowered deck. Let's not spend too much time on that, right? Celestia Enchantments gets some really cool upgrades that I'm excited about. Helioid, the Radiant Dawn, can be transformed for 3 mana, 2 life. The life gain here is easy, so we don't mind. Furthermore, when it enters the battlefield, we're going to grab something from our graveyard, which is decent. And then we're casting spells with Flash, which is great, and reducing the cost of our spells if our opponent is drawing cards, right? So with this and the Invasion of Theros, which transforms into the Ever Sheltering, allowing us to draw, which is great whenever you cast an enchantment. Draw a card, and then it's going to have Lifelink and Indestructible, which is great as well. And, these 2 cards going into what is, again, already a very, very powerful deck, the Celestia Enchantments. And then Seal of Existence is a bit of an upgrade as well, giving it Ward 3, which is nice, taking the place of Banishing Light or whatever, right? So very cool deck. And again, this is a deck that a lot of you already have, that you can easily, as you get them from your drafting, from your collecting and opening your new packs, whatever, put them in there as you get them, add it. And, this is not breaking the bank by any means, and is going to be really cool to play without, spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars, right? Which we do have decks that are, very wildcard intensive. 5-color dragons, fairly excited about this. Again, a lot of old cards here, which is fine. We do have the new Invasion of Takir, 2 damage plus X, where X is the number of dragons you reveal from your hand. So it's a lot of dragons in this deck. And then it transforms into a 4/4. And whenever a dragon you control attacks, it deals 2 damage to any target. Flying Trample. That's going to close out games quick. And then we have Zurgo and Ojati as a 4/4 Flying Haste. Very good, allowing us basically to draw, which is nice, and staying off the battlefield, which is actually pretty cool against control decks. Furthermore, Rith is in here, Zayatora is in here, Atsushi Moonveil. This is just like a great looking dragon deck. It's basically Jund dragons with white and blue splashed for Rith and for Zergo, right? So, you know, keeping it smooth, keeping it new without breaking the bank. We have a Azorious non-creature convoke deck up next. The new Invasion of Phyrexia, making creatures with vigilance. So we like the battles that make creatures because those creatures can then attack that battle, right, and transform it. It's going to transform into Teferi. That's fine. We also have Invasion of Sargovia. This creates Krakens with Trample. And furthermore, when you flip it, non-creature spells you have or you control will have Convoke as well, which is really nice. And then you get to untap creatures at the beginning of your upkeep, so you can grab some good mana there. Convoke at instant speed if you have it, and then untap, right? So that's really cool. We also have the Chrome Host Seed Shark, which is crazy with Tezzeret, making a bunch of incubation tokens whenever we're casting non-creatures, and that's what we have in the deck. The new Archangel is here. We have the new Elish Norn as well. Jin Gitaxis also showing up, which is really cool. So a very powerful deck that we're interested in playing with. Smile's trying to get up on the computer. She's like, I know I can get up here somehow. Anyways, moving on to Esper Angels. This has Errant and Guidia. This is the new angel, allowing you to cast spells with flash or flying off the top of your library. So we've got a flying deck, which is pretty cool. We also have Invasion of Gobelkon as a new card here, taxing your opponent and then giving you on the back side, if you do flip it, +1/+1 counters whenever you attack, which is crazy with flyers because we can attack without, too much consequence of blockers. And then finally, instant speed sack this for hexproof and indestructible, which is great. We do not mind that. And there is also Draina and Linvala, which we mentioned earlier, which is pretty cool. Exciting times when we're looking at Esper Angels again. Now here's the chase deck. You're going to need a few wild cards here. So it is using primarily Realmbreaker, the invasion tree. We are going to get 10 mana via Omnath, which will help you keep mana. It'll turn black, but this is colorless, so we don't mind. And then, we're going to be playing all these Praetors at once, which is absolutely ridiculous. There's one Praetor of each in here. We did take Gix out because it's a 3-drop, and we are playing with Invasions of Alara, which we don't really want. A lot of 3-drops. Would rather them stay 4 and 5. So we're getting the tree and the Celestis off of this as a higher chance anyways, right? So, this deck is wild. You could classify it as a domain deck. It's definitely utilizing all 5 colors for Omnath. The land is very consistent. Pro tip, we use the Crystal Grotto to transform the excess black mana that we'll have through Omnath into a different color potentially, right? So that should be fine. And again, this is so jank, it's not even funny. But if you pull it off, because you're not losing this mana, which is sick, and then you can activate this on your opponent's end step, pull out like 10 Praetors or whatever, and just let out a big old laugh. Moving on, we have the Orjov token Convoke Reanimator. One of my better decks, I think. I'm very, very excited about this. We are making tokens, and we are using those tokens to convoke, and then we're kind of going on a little bit of a combo, right? So, we have the Hive here for tokens. We have the Wedding Announcement for tokens, which is great. Mondrak is going to, double tokens, which is really cool. Utilizing the Invasion of Innistrad, which is really cool. It's a removal, front side, back side, more tokens. Elspeth, more tokens, give you flying, lifelink, all that. Elish Norn, because you can sack them, and that's going to give you more tokens through the Incubate and probably lethal. I'm so excited for that. Elish Norn, it's not even funny. Pile on, removal, convoke, nice stuff here, right? And then in the top end, You have the ability to discard, right, into the grave with the Restoration of Enganjo. And we will probably be tossing our Cemetery Desecrator, right? Which is fine. So the Desecrator goes to the grave, and then we play the Hoarding Broodlord. It comes out. We exile the invasion of Tolvada, at which point it gains Convoke. They're going to destroy our Broodlord. It goes to the grave because they're not going to let a 7/6 flying sit there. And then the invasion brings back the Cemetery Desecrator, and then it exiles the Broodlord, which auto flips your Tolva, and now your creature tokens get +1/+0, have lifelink, and at the beginning of your end step, you'll create a 1/1 black spirit creature token with flying, which is really cool. So that's all going to happen very quickly, which is quite nice, right? So super excited for this Orjov token deck, token Convoke build here. You'll see a lot of this from me tomorrow, I'm pretty sure. Hopefully we can pull it off. Celestia +1/+1 counters is up next. Here we'll be utilizing the new Botanical Brawler. Gets counters, and then whenever you put counters on another permanent, if it's the first time that permanent's getting counters, you're going to put another counter on the Brawler. So we'll be putting counters on everything with the backside of Gobakon, which we talked about. The Duelist is going to get draws here as well. Elspeth can distribute those counters, which is pretty cool. So, you know, just a fairly decent looking deck as far as I'm concerned. You know, nice aggro. Very exciting times. Mono green, slow grow. Now this actually gets some good looking upgrades. Polkranos, the Reborn, 3 mana, 4/5 with reach, which is crazy. But then it flips into a 6/6 with life gain and reach. And when it dies, it creates 2 3/3s. Oh my God. You know, that's all you mono green. We're going in deep. Of course, you know, we're kind of playing with the new Vorinclex just because it's new. You know, it's a pretty terrible card, but at the end of the day, it is 6 power, and Gwenna can drop it. She also reduces, you know, a bit of the mana for that ability, making it more of a possibility. So mono green, slow grow, looking good. You get those Polkranos. Put that in your mono green deck. You know, you're going to be going to town here. We do have a lot of other green cards to consider, but like I said, we're always trying to make the most competitive version, and they don't always need to include 50 new cards. Moving on, we have Mardu Reanimator, which is the most degenerate thing I've ever seen. So you'll be bringing back at Raxa with Croxa. It's so silly. And then, you know, furthermore, you can bring out Croxa with Hazoret, right? So that's like a triple card for 5 mana here. You know, I can't explain it. The hardest part for people is going to be emptying their hand so they can have this hit with haste, which is a possibility because, you know, there's things like Guardian of Nubenelia, which you can just straight up drain your hand here. So empty your hand, Hazoret into Croxa. Croxa brings back at Raxa from the grave. You've refilled your hand that you just emptied, and you've got a massive field state. Let's go! Not looking forward to this. I'll tell you what, I'll be honest. That one is brutal. Boros Battles is next up, and we still have quite a few to get through. This will be utilizing some of the new battle cards. Invasion of Gobakhan and Takir. Of course, we'll also be utilizing the new Mythic Monastery Mentor alongside the Swift Spear. It's got prowess. Cast a non-creature spell. Create a 1/1 that also has prowess. Okay, that's pretty cool because the battles are non-creatures triggering our prowess. You can see where this goes. We will be utilizing the new Elspeth, the new Elish Norn here as well. So super excited for this. Azorious Creature Convoke. This is out of control as well. Very easy to make. And, we've got Adeline, Resplendent Cathar with Vigilance. Its power is equal to the number of creatures you control. And then, so it's going to make creatures, right? And then you can convoke the Singer, which will give Adeline flying. And we all know how big Adeline can get. So what if it's in the air too, right? Of course, we'll be utilizing the Knight here as well, helping us draw those cards. Thalia, shutting down all the non-creatures and then still maintaining a counter through the Hermit. I think that's pretty cool, right? So, yeah, convoke our faces off, sorry, tomorrow. The Shark Attack is a little bit more dialed in with the Chrome Host Sea Shark. We kind of were playing with that earlier. This is more focused on it, right? We'll be utilizing the Sword of Once and Future as well. Tezzeret, you play the Shark on 3, Tezzeret 4, your Incubate 4, and then Tezzeret can -2, and then that token is now an 8/8, which is great. Also activated abilities on artifacts, which is the Equip, so that can get onto the Shark really nicely and help protect it. Recasting instants and sorceries from the grave with our proxy, just getting good value. We also have the Flash battle, and we should be able to take out that battle with the Shark pretty easily as well, which is pretty cool. All right, our third last deck, Celestia Human Ramp. We'll be utilizing the new Ghalta. It's quite expensive, but if we have a human deck with Catilda, we should be able to play it a lot earlier. And then, this utilizes the amount of creatures we have. Going wide with those humans for the mana. Also, the first ability equal to its power for Adeline, right? Adeline can become quite strong, which is nice. We're pushing up the power of our creatures with the King, with Sigardia, making tokens with Adeline, with Tauren. Very nice. Looking forward to this. There's the Lunarch Veteran. If we do happen to make X11s, we can gain a bunch of life that way as well, right? So looking forward just to playing with Ghalta, a very easy deck to make. Only 3 new cards. Thalia was for consideration, but I think it's best just to dial it in. And that way we don't have to worry about the black mana ever. It's a Jund Fling. We will have the Voltaren Thrill Seeker. This has backup. Very, very cool. The backup gives +2, as well as a pay 1 sacrifice deal damage equal to its power to any target, right? So, that combined with Gwen is great. And she's allowing us to hopefully double cast on turn 4. Archfiends, Spinoderms, they're going to self-sacrifice, but we'll sacrifice them before they self-sacrifice to get even more value out of them, which is great. And then Yargle, if we're lucky enough, we get this Yargle out there, 18/6, put the Thrill Seeker on it. We also have Zayatora that can sack it. That's going to just be enough damage. I'm pretty certain that's going to get the job done. We also have Fight Rigging to help it out. Our power's so high in the build already. So this looks like a lot of fun. And, this Thrill Seeker goes in the deck so nicely. Also, that backup 2 helps you get to the Fight Rigging 7 power faster if you're using, something that's not already there. Finally, the Naya backup battles. And this is basically built from the ground up. RIP wildcards. Don't worry, it's not too expensive. There's a lot of commons and uncommons here, but utilizing this Thrill Seeker again through the backup. Mostly using backup because of the Mirror Shield Hoplite. 2 mana, 2/2 with Vigilance, which is cool. And then if we target it with backup, we get to copy that, choose a new target. Cool beans, because this is +2. So we could, they could each copy onto, like if we stack 2 Hoplites and then we play a Thrill Seeker, they can each trigger and then copy onto each other. We're going to have 6/6s with Vigilance. it's just ridiculous, right? So, and then they can also sacrifice to deal more damage to our opponent, right? So building around that, we have more backups to help push up. We do like it. The Bond Warden, the Negotiator, they're not great cards. And then we've got the battles, Gobakin, Ixalan, Tarkir, the Doomscar Warrior, drawing if we deal damage to a battle, which is great. The Raptor, and then the Invasion of Kylum as well. I really love that backside. It makes tokens. Well, first, it gives +2 and Vigilance, allowing us to do a lot of damage to the battles, right? We could probably instantly flip this. And then we get 2 3/2s that get +1 counters whenever they attack with another token, which is cool. The Valkyrie here as well, you know, more backup, flying, first strike, lifelink as a 4/4. It's great. Super excited about this deck. And it's, you know, not too intensive. Yes, you know, like this is a rare, this is a rare, this is a rare, this is a rare. Oh, rare. It's a lot of rares. But you know what? We've got a couple commons, a couple uncommons here as well. I try my best. I tried to justify it, but this is one of those decks that you might need in comparison to the others that we built a few wildcards for. And, you know, with that being said, we do have more decks that we are going to continue to build, right? I've got just a stream of ideas that is never ending. Like I'm trying to sleep at night and it's just like new decks. It's like, settle down. I need to sleep. But, you know, plenty of hours left until the early access event, you know, excited for it. And like I said, you know, if you are a creator or you're watching another creator and they're kind of struggling to play a new deck, reach out. I've got plenty of builds. Happy to share my lists. You can find them all on my Moxfield profile as well. Just cut out the middleman. Maybe I'll make them all public for everyone after this video releases. Cheers. Thank you so much for listening to my half-hour ramble. I appreciate each and every one of you who made it to the end. You guys are phenomenal. Have an absolute magical day, and I'm looking forward to hanging out with you literally all day tomorrow. We're going to go as long as we can, play as many of these decks as we can, and maybe even brew some new ones. I don't know. You can't stop the flow of ideas, nor should you, right? Just let it flow. And more excited than I've been for a set in recent memory. So that's great. And then Aftermath comes out right away also as like a mini set, so I don't think we have to wait too long. And that's going to keep things fresh. And, you know, we're through spring, almost into summer, and, you know, fall comes after that for rotation. So, you know, every day, I know it's a ways away, but rotation is coming out. We're going to lose those last 4 sets. And there's a, like, you know, goodbye Invoke Despair. Ta-da! There's still a lot of problems, but that's a big one right now. Looking forward to rotation. Rotation's always fun as a builder. Not only does a lot of the really good stuff always leave, but it allows new things to shine because they're not being oppressed, right? And it's also, you know, maybe a little bit easier to build because there are less cards in the pool, and therefore less possible interactions, so forth, right? So I'm continuing to ramble, you know, don't mind me. Have an absolute great day. We'll see you soon in the next, all right? Cheers.